Hello, everyone. We're going to get started. Tracy, do you want to get us started?
Wendy, yes, great, thank you. Thank you for joining us today for our online webinar in using Kahoot in your online courses. Today, your presenters will be myself, Tracy Miller-Nobles from Austin Community College, Wendy Teach from Kent State University, and we also have Jennifer Canis from University of South Florida. Please use the Q&A box for questions. We will answer those questions at the end of the session. Now I'm going to pass it over to Wendy, and she's going to talk about Kahoot.
Okay, so we're talking about Kahoot today. So Kahoot is an online polling system at its very fundamental level. You can use it in a live situation, or you can use it asynchronously, so students can answer it when you're not right in front of them. Students answer the questions in a game format. Kahoot is not used for credit. It is entirely optional. It is anonymous because you don't know who's done it and who hasn't done it, and that's part of the beauty of it too. It's excellent for exam reviews, for example. So what we're going to do is go over kind of the features of Kahoot. We're going to talk about the different Kahoot plans, and then we're going to play a short little Kahoot, and then I'm going to do a demo. We're going to get into Kahoot, and I'll show you different kinds of questions and how you can do different things in Kahoot. So kind of a nice demo overview of what you can do with Kahoot. So Kahoot, the features, it is competition-based. So students are competing, players are competing against each other. No student information is collected. There is no way to get student information. Students don't have an account. They just sign on and they either type in whatever name they want, or they are assigned a pseudonym by Kahoot. You can build in lesson slides, so it's not just a series of questions. You can ask a question, you can wait for the answer, and then the next slide or two can be explaining that answer after the fact. Kahoot is free for 50 students, up to 50 students. It costs for more students normally. So we'll talk more about pricing in just a minute. The advantages to Kahoot is it's extremely easy to use. It's just really easy. Gamification helps lead to engagement. It is free for up to 50 students, and there's this asynchronous and synchronous options. So you can do it if you're having class live online, or you can do it and assign it to be done over the space of a few days. The disadvantage to Kahoot is there's no way to track students. So this is not going to be something that you're going to assign for credit, for participation, or anything like that. You just put it out there and students can participate or not. As we said, Kahoot is free. It's free version. You can have up to 50 players. There is what they call a plus version, which pretty much is the free version, up to 100 players, and you get some reporting. That's $5 a month. The pro version, you can go up to 200 players and you get more features, and that's $120 a year or $10 a month. And then the premium version is $15 a month, which is $180 a year, but you can have up to 2,000 players and you have all the question types. The reason I'm bringing these all up is right now you can get the premium version for free. Kahoot is making it available for the rest of this school year, and it's a really good opportunity to try it out, see what you like, get a better understanding of what you're paying for. I myself have classes where I have anywhere from 400 to 600 students in a given semester. So I do have the premium account. I did pay for it. But I think it's money well spent. It's one of the things that I do feel it's money well spent. I use it probably 6 or 8 times a semester because it's not something you want to do every day, but it certainly does build engagement. So just kind of the difference between the basic, the free account, the pro account, which is that $120 a year versus the premium. All of them allow you to play community-made games. You can create basic games with multiple choice quiz questions, and you can get questions out of their question bank You can use images as answers. So all of those apply to all the accounts. We're going to see some of these other features today. And again, you have the ability to get premium for free for the rest of this academic year. You just go to the Kahoot website and there's links there for being able to get it for free because of the current COVID-19 pandemic going on. You can add slides between questions, and that is a feature of Pro and Premium, open-ended questions, and we're going to see a lot of these today. You can edit premium games. You can edit already made games, which is kind of cool. So what we're going to do right now is we are all going to play a Kahoot game right now. This is just a little bit of trivia.
Wendy,
And yes.
before we jump into the Kahoot game, I just have a clarifying question about the pricing and the number of participants. In the number of participants, like if you were going to use the free version and it was 50 students, you said there was a 50 student limit. Is that per game, or if you wanted to use it in multiple sections, would that 50 student limit be totaled?
It's per student because your students never register for it. So Kahoot has you have no idea, and Kahoot has no idea how many students you have. It's only how many players can play the game at one time. Okay,
great. So you could use it in multiple sections, even if you had more than 50, if you had, a total of all your students, 180 students, as long as only 50 are in the game at the time.
Yeah, it's the number of players you have in a game. It's
Great.
The number of the games up to 100 players for the plus, but up to 50 players. And again, students don't register. You don't put a class list, so Kahoot has no idea how many students you have. Just in a given game, they know. Okay? And again, it's free for the rest of this academic year. So we're going to go over and do a Kahoot game. Okay? And so let me switch over to Kahoot. Okay, now I've got a Kahoot already made, and when you go to play a Kahoot, it's called Teach, which means I'm going to present this right now. That's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to go into it and we're all going to play it. You can also assign it, and they used to call this challenge, but now they call it assign. You can assign it for self-paced learning later. So I'm going to hit Teach. And what this is going to do is it's going to ask me, I want to use the friendly nickname generator. I don't care about any of this. Let's see. We're just going to go with the default. And this is going to be classic. So I'm just going to click classic. And now everybody on here right now can join this game. And what you do is you go to Kahoot, www.kahoot.it, and join with this number. So you don't have to sign in, you just put in the Kahoot number. So once you're in, it will assign you you spin for your nickname. And if it's okay, you just accept it. And you have, yes, so we see some names being generated. And this is what will happen with your students. They get a nickname, and so that's anonymous, and it's fear-free, right? Because our students don't have to worry about being embarrassed. We don't have to worry about invading privacy because everyone has a pseudonym assigned to them. So, and those names are always fun to read, right? So we have a bunch of names here. We have a bunch of participants. And again, if I start the game, you can still join as we go forward. So if you're not in there, when you do put in the number, you'll have to spin for your nickname. And you do have up to 3 choices to have it changed. So I think we have a lot of people in here already. So we're going to go ahead and start. And again, you can still join. But the first question, so you have to look at my screen for the question. We're delivering this live. So the question is, which of the following is not a polling system? So now you have 30 seconds to answer. Top Hat, iClicker, Poll Everywhere, or I Poll You. So you have to answer on your device. You'll click the right shape or color, And as soon as everyone has answered, it will close, or it'll stay open as the countdown timer is on the screen. So we have about 5 seconds left at this moment. So get your answers in, and then the question's going to close automatically. So what we see here is that 7 people answered top hat, which is not the right answer. 1 person answered poll everywhere, and then 7 people answered I poll you. So, okay, so we see what the right answer is. If we were using this in class, we could discuss it, but now we go next. And what it's going to show us is it's going to show us the leaders. Now notice that there's different point values. Speed counts. So not only do you have to be accurate, but you have to be fast. So Dazzle Jaguar is in the lead, Clever Newt, Cute Alpaca, Legend Sphinx, and Dr. Quail. So there's also other places below that, but it's just showing the top 5. So let's go to our next question. What animal is in the Firefox logo? Is it red panda, phoenix, red fox, or red squirrel? Okay, so make your choice. Again, we're waiting as it counts down. You can control the amount of time that's given. If all your students have answered, it will close prematurely. It will close once everyone's answered, or it'll wait that length of time. So we're going to get to the end here. Okay, and the answer is only 2 people got it, red panda. So I want to show you something here. So we see that we have a new leader. We have Dr. Quail in the lead, okay? So Captain Hawk is the highest climber, so it's kind of a fun thing watching. But let's see the next slide. So this is a slide to explain what we just had. So we just had this question about what's in the Firefox logo, and we see that the Firefox logo features a red panda. So you can have explanation slides. And just this week, Kahoot changed from allowing 1 explanation slide to more than 1 slide. So that's kind of a good thing. We'll see some of those that I did for problems for my class this last time. So now we have 1 more question in our little Kahoot game here. Which company is older? Samsung or Apple? Okay. And you, as I said, you can control how much time counts down. If you do an asynchronous game, you can take away the timer completely. It'll allow you to pick up to 4 minutes in a live game. So it's got increments up to 4 minutes. Okay, here we go. Samsung, yes, most people got it. Samsung is the older company. And you see our scoreboard here. Dr. Quail retains the lead. And here is explanation. So here I've got an explanation slide about Samsung was founded as a grocery store in March 1938. Apple wasn't founded until 1976. So Samsung is over 38 years older. So this was the end of our little polling trivia game here. We had Cute Alpaca, got 4 out of 5 answers. Clever Newt got 4 out of 5. And I think this is Dr. Quail, yes, got 5 out of 5 right. So you see at the end, we get that podium, and then down at the bottom, it quickly showed places 4 and 5. So that was a kind of an example of Kahoot, and that was doing a quiz.
Wendy, I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
One of our attendees pointed out that when we're answering on our devices, on our tablet or on our phone, that we only see the color in the boxes. We don't see any words like you see on the screen. So that is a unique difference from like another polling system like Poll Everywhere, where you actually see the question on your device. But in Kahoot, the students have to look at the screen and then answer the question on their device, correct?
Yes and no. If you're running it live, the reason they do that is they want the student paying attention to the live event, not just looking at their device, right? So when you're running it live, yes, the student is going to pick the color or shape. Notice that there's shapes on each one too, so you're not relying just on color. So if you're running a live event, we don't typically want the students looking at their device the entire time, right? So they're looking at the screen. If you're running an asynchronous event, the student devices have all the questions and answers in the device itself. So synchronously, yes, you're right. You have to look at the screen. Asynchronously, it is directly on the student's device. Okay?
Great, that's excellent to know.
Okay, okay. So now we did the game, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in to Kahoot, and I'm just going to go to the main screen where we're going to create a basic Kahoot. I'm going to show you a variety of questions. We're going to find some pre-made Kahoots. We're going to find questions, and then we'll talk about those two ways to play. So I am signed into my Kahoot account. I've got to get rid of our game. So we are done. Let me maximize this so I can, okay, get rid of our game. I'm going to leave it. Okay, so I'm going to go home. So this is my account for Kahoot. I do, again, have the premium account, and you can get that for free to try it out. And if I want to see my Kahoots that I've written, I would go into Kahoots. And what you'll see is you have the opportunity to have folders for different things. I cleaned out a lot of things recently because I had a big mess. So I have one folder here for Education Elevated, and then I have a series of Kahoots. So this is one that I created, that I made from one that I'd done earlier. It's an example exam 1 review because I have a variety of questions in here. So when I go into the Kahoot itself, I can see each of the questions, and I could hit play and I'd be off to the races and I could play. But if I want to edit it, I can just click on the little 3 numbers, hit edit, and then you're going to see each of the questions. Okay, so this is question 1 that we're in, and I'm asking which of the following is an example of a liability. And so I've got the answers. I type the answers in down here. I check the one that's right, and I can put a time limit. If I click there, you'll see all the time limits I have to choose from. Something to be cognizant of when you're selecting time limits, it gets really frustrating to play the game if there's not enough time to answer. Even if you get it wrong, students want to be able to answer. So I tend to err on the side of having too long to answer questions, and then I encourage everyone to answer because then they close once everyone has answered. The other reason it's really good that we're not using these for credit or any kind of recognition is because we want to be aware that our students who have accommodations for longer to do things, we don't want them to be at a disadvantage. So I do my asynchronous polls without time limits so they can focus on getting it right and then kind of see how they rate in terms of percentage right. Okay, so this is one question. And I have a series of those that are standard multiple choice. And so those are all pretty standard. This is an open-ended question. So this one I did, if assets are $500 and liabilities are $200, what is equity? So I put in the correct answer is 300. I also put $ 300 and 300. So the student actually has to calculate it and type in 300. So that's an open-ended question. So it has to be an answer that you can put in that Kahoot can match to the students. So, and you don't have unlimited choices, so it would have to be fairly simple. Numbers are pretty easy because you can put those in. I have another open-ended question here, and this, what I did is I took a balance sheet and I whited out what total assets are. And if you teach accounting, total assets have to equal $16,900. That's pretty obvious because it equals total liabilities and equity. So I just did this open-ended, so where students would have to figure it out, gave them 90 seconds, And this one goes over well because a lot of students struggle with it, trying to add everything up and then realize that the answer is right there on the screen. So that's another example of what you can do. This balance sheet here, this was actually an image. So I had an Excel file, I did a screenshot, and I saved that as an image file. So I just saved it as a JPEG file, and then I uploaded it. So you can use your own art, or you can use Kahoots, and we'll see that in a minute. You can also do a puzzle question. So this is one where I ask the students to put the statements in the order in which they're prepared. You'll see that these statements are in the correct order because I put them in the correct order to tell Kahoot what the correct order was. And then Kahoot, when it presents it to the student will have to drag them into the right order. It will be a random order. Okay, and then let's see, where are we? We have another quiz question. So what I want to do now is I just want to add a question. So when you add a question, you have all these different choices. You have a quiz question, which we've just seen lots of those. We have a true-false question type, which is just like what you think it is. Open-ended, we saw, I didn't mean to do that. Open-ended is where they put in a one-word answer, a number answer, or something like that. Puzzle is they have to put the answers in the right order. A poll question has no right or wrong answer. You're just asking for their opinion. And then word cloud collects free-form words to your poll. So again, you could say, what is one word to describe how you're feeling today? And it would be in a word cloud, so that's kind of cool. And then slides are where, when I showed you, like on the red panda, I showed a picture of a panda and talked how the panda was the inspiration for the Firefox logo. That's an explanation. And I have an example of one that I just did. Let me exit this, and I'm going to go into, let me see if it'll let me change. Okay, it did let me change. Okay, so this was the exam review that my students just did. I had 187 students complete it. If I look at it, this was a pretty hard one. I had some pretty hard questions on here. And this is an example of how they did. The top 4 people got 100%, and that's great. And then you can analyze how students did on each of the particular questions. And it tells me there were 8 difficult questions. I wanted this to be a challenge for the students, so that all works. That's an example of a report you can do in Kahoot. So the reason I wanted to show this one is I did a lot of these. So let's see if I can. Okay, let's see if I'm going to, let's see, preview it. That's what I want to do. Okay, so I'm going to preview this. So this is going to show me what it's going to look like to my students. And so this, this is my, okay, it's waiting for, okay, so it's making me preview. I always forget. So this is a way that you can try your Kahoot out before your students do. So we're doing the Kahoot, and I just want to do this one. Okay, so here's my review. The first question should be pretty standard, but I want to get to those Excel ones. What does FIFO stand for? Pretty basic, right? First in, first out. And I'll go over here and click it. So again, you can experience it like your students do, and I have always done that before I do one. I want to, this sounds backwards, right? So LIFO focuses at the oldest purchase prices. Let's just do true. So let's go here. And I'm trying to get to the LIFO ones. Oh, another one. So I'm just going to click and we're going to go here. So I'm just going to pick one, and it's probably wrong. That's fine. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's one. So here's the question where I posted the Excel document. We are doing this in timed mode, so you'll see it's counting down. It's giving me 4 minutes to answer this. So students could go through. I did mine. You have an option when you deploy the game to take away the timer, and that's what I actually did. So students can go through that and I have no idea what the answer is. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show. So this one, I'm telling the students, I'm showing them the answer. The question is replicated in the top half. The bottom half is showing the work for it. I'm explaining it down towards the bottom. And then I tell students when I gave them this to go ahead and screenshot it if they want to keep it to study from. And they can take this Kahoot, they could do this Kahoot a couple times. And it tends to be, I had 187 do it voluntarily. So that tends to be pretty cool that way. So you can create your own.
Quick question for you. When you go in to create those images that you're showing, so like the Excel images, and then also just the images that you have on some of your screens, one of our participants mentioned that she had trouble with or too large. So
Tracy, you cut out. I did not hear that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, you know,
about
internet,
you said
right?
Somebody asked about upload. What?
Yeah, uploading images, and they're having problems doing that due to the wrong size. It says it's the wrong size to upload. So do you have any tips for that?
No, you know what? When I upload files, so I use, okay, so let's say, I just did this today. So I use Snagit to do my screenshots, right? So here's a screenshot I did today. And so I'm in Snagit and I do a file save as, and I just save it as PNG or JPEG, and I've never had any that are too big. So I'm not sure how you're saving, but I know if you use a tool like Snagit and do a screenshot, it's going to be okay. I mean, I haven't run into any difficulty. So I don't have any tips for that other than this is how I do it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay, so you can see I've got different exams that I've done here. If I want to play them, I just click the play button. But let's say we're starting from scratch and it seems overwhelming to start. So if you click Discover, there's a couple ways you can go. Let's say I want to give a Kahoot on financial accounting, let's say, okay? So once you do that, it's going to bring up a lot of different Kahoots, and they are of varying quality, I will tell you that. I tend to go through here and look. This one's 54 questions. That would be way too many for my students. But here's one that has 1,500 plays. It's 10 questions. So I'm just going to go into it right now. And then I can go in and look at each of the questions, which is not listed on the debit side, what's this called, and I look at it and I think, oh, those are okay. So what I can do if I want to use that, I can duplicate it and then I can edit it. Again, this you can do in the premium account. So you're able to take all these Kahoots that others made, and that is really cool. That is a way to save a lot of time. If I wanted to find one, I do not know if there's one on depreciation, but I would guess there would be. Yes, so we have different topics. People have shared these. You may find some that I have shared in here. So you have all kinds. You can look at, they have levels. It doesn't apply to us because we're not K-12. Again, created by who, you probably want to click on teachers, right? And then you can go through and look at those. Another way to do it is if I'm over in Kahoot and I'm going to say, I'm going to create my own new Kahoot. So I'm going to create a new Kahoot, right? And my first question is, what is the answer? So let's say, what's the answer? Now, I can create my own thing. Let's say I don't know what the answer is. What is this animal? Okay. And then they have an image library at Kahoot, which I've been amazed by. So let's just type cat. Okay. So let's pick a cat. Okay. So I've picked an animal and I'm going to type in answer here. dog, bird. Okay, and then you mark the right answer. And okay, so that's one way you can do it. You change your time limit. The other cool thing they have is they have this thing called image reveal. Let's pick a 5 by 5. And what that's going to do is as the question's ticking away, it's going to reveal the image. And you can use this so I've done this sometimes to give students hints. I'll ask the question and then I'll put the answer behind a reveal. And then they can watch the time go by. So then they'll get it correct, but they need some time to get there. So that's what image reveal is for, to kind of give them a hint over time so that the students that know it right away can put the answer in first. Other students can still get the answer, but they have to wait for it. So that's one way to add a question. Let's say now, I don't want to write every question by myself, so I'm going to do the question bank. And let's say I wanted to get a question about inventory. So I'm just going to type inventory and boom, all these questions pop up. So let's add this one, okay? And let's see what we got here in our question. So we see inventory and then current asset, current liability. I would rather edit that question a little bit. I would say inventory is classified as, okay, and then I know the answer is current asset. Let's say I don't like that image. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to go to the image library and I'm going to type inventory and just see what it gives me. Sometimes you have to use a couple different, that doesn't look like what I want. So let me put shelves and see if I can get some warehouse shelves maybe. Oh, there's some inventory right there. So that's going to be, so it depends. You can search for all kinds of things. So you do have an image, or you can upload your own images. So you can crop images. I tend to use their images unless I'm giving a problem that I want to put in there. But uploading your own screenshots allow you to put more information on the page, but then you also need to be really careful about how much time you're allowing for it. And that's why asynchronous with no time limit really works for those kind of questions. Okay, Tracy, do you have any other questions as we're going here? Because I'm coming kind of to the end of my demonstration
here. No, yeah, I think
here.
we're all good here. It's been excellent, Wendy. Just a reminder, if you're attending our webinar live today, if you have questions, you can type those in the question and answer box, or you can post those questions into the chat box where I'm monitoring both.
Okay, and you name, so up at the top there was a settings box. So here I could do a cover image for my Kahoot, and maybe I want a different image. I'm going to go through and let me pick a different one. That's a nice one. Okay, so I can put any image on the front. I have done some images that say review 1. So another shortcut to creating images is if you have a PowerPoint, you can create your image, and then you can do a screenshot of a PowerPoint slide. PowerPoint also has an export feature that will allow you to make your own images. So if you have like exam 1 review, you can make that image in PowerPoint. You want me to show you how to do that, Tracy?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so here's my PowerPoint. Let's say I wanted to make this first image an image. You can go into PowerPoint, you can do export, and then you want to change the file type. And here's where I'm going to say, I want the JPEG. Because look at the two choices. PNG is a print quality image file. That's going to be a bigger size file. JPEGs are web quality, which isn't quite as high of density. So if I do that, I can save as, and then it's going to ask me which files, which ones I want to do. I think it always has in the past. So I'm going to save it on my desktop. And then ask me which ones I want to export. And it will make this file right here an image. So if I wanted to go back to my settings here and I wanted to upload an image, presumably I can find it. That's my only, I saw I did it on the desktop, but I didn't make note of it. Oh, here we go. Here's our image. Okay, so there's my image. So that's a really fast way to make images if you have something that you want to put like exam 1 review or something. Just put it in a PowerPoint and save it as a JPEG image, and that will work really well. Okay, so
Indeed, before you move on, can you talk a little bit about asynchronous polling? Specifically, when you set that up, how does that get set up differently? And the question, for example, is how do you set the deadline for asynchronous polling?
Okay, well, let's do it with this one because we can do it. So we have a review example quiz we just made. If I hit play, we have a choice of teach, which is synchronous, or asynchronous, which is assign. So I'm going to click assign. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me some options. So I'm going to say that this one is due, I want it due by Friday night at 6 p.m. Okay, so I have the choice. Do I want a question timer or not? I'm going to leave it on. Personalized learning. Be careful on this because personalized learning requires that the students download the app. They can't just play it in their browser. So it's a cool feature, but be careful what you do with it depending on your students. I always select randomized answers because if they play it again, they can't just remember it was D. And then, so once you do that, you've set all those settings. I'm going to create it. And then what it does is it gives me, it says, as long as we did those correctly, it gives me a challenge link. So I can just hit copy here and I could play it. I could paste it into my browser. Let me open up. Let's go ahead and do it. An incognito window so it doesn't know that it's me. I'm going to paste that Kahoot challenge in here and I'm going to see it. So now here's the challenge, okay? And when you do an asynchronous quiz, the only thing that's different is that the students pick their own name. So that's entirely on them. I have students that pick the name A, or I have students that pick the name Mary or whatever, but they're in charge of what they pick for their name. And I've not had any problem with that. I was really worried for a while about what if students picked inappropriate names, but that has not been an issue. So I just put in a name and now it's going to start the quiz. Happy Camper, it's telling me it's getting geared up. And now I'm in it, and I did the time limit on this. So it's going to, what is this animal? And if you recall, we're going to see this reveal now. So what is this animal? Who's the fastest to identify it? Anyone that knows me is going to be able to pick cat right away, because you know that's going to be my go-to animal, right? So now let's go on to the next question. Okay, it says so I'm the first person playing this. If there were others that had played this, it would show me where I was in relationship to them. Okay, so inventory is classified as what? I'm going to pick this. I'm going to say it's a current, let me get it wrong, okay? Let me see current liability. Okay, so it tells me that I got it wrong, and then I go next. And I've completed the challenge. And then students can save the link, come back and see the podium once it's done. They can also play again. They could put that same URL in and play, and there's a podium and you can see where you rank. And that's been kind of fun for students. Okay, back to you, Tracy.
Okay, I think we've got everything answered on my side, so I think we're ready to move on.
Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay, so we did that. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it back over to you, Tracy.
Okay, great, excellent. So again, we want to thank you for joining us today for our demonstration on how to use Kahoot in your online courses. Please follow our blog, Accounting is Analytics. We've been doing a whole series of webinars on getting everyone up to speed and teaching in the online environment. You can find those webinar recordings on our website, Accounting is Analytics. We're also doing a couple more in the next 2 weeks. We have this one today, of course, the Kahoot. And then we're going to take a break next week so we can catch our breath. And then we're going to be back on April 16th to talk about how to make lecture recordings on your iPad. So you can find the webinar information on our website. Wendy, we did just have one question come in, so let me ask that for you here. If the timer isn't on, so if you're playing a Kahoot and the timer isn't on, will the students still be ranked?
They will be ranked, yes, they will still be ranked, but they will be ranked only by accuracy. Because then if you do that, then there's possibilities of ties, which is fine. So they do rank them in terms of accuracy then. They just don't have the timer points in there.
Okay, great, excellent. That makes perfect sense. And I think, oh, we've got our meme. I almost forgot about our meme. So we've been ending on an upbeat note. I picked this meme for Wendy, of course, because she loves kittens. And I also think that if you play these Kahoot games in your online classes, it helps to prevent your students from falling asleep, looking like that little cute kitten right there. So thank you so much for joining us today. You can find a copy of this recording on our website, accountingisanalytics.com. We also have a wide variety of other recordings already posted up there, and we really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you so much. Thanks, Wendy.
Bye, thank you.